Hello everyone, my name is Denise and today I have my friend Martin
Hey,
back.
hello everyone.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk on the topic of end of the year blues.
Hmm.
So, okay, Martin, what does end of the year blues mean to you?
Oh, well, okay. Around the whole world, actually, not just in Singapore, right? That's the when we talk about end of the year blues, you find a lot of people going for parties, office parties, family gatherings. In the US, you have Thanksgiving, you have, of course, your Christmas in Singapore. Then you have your New Year's Eve, which is a very big thing around the world, especially in a country like Singapore. Everyone loves to celebrate New Year, and of course ushering the New Year, saying goodbye to 2022, and then of course ushering the New Year 2023, and then for Singapore, and as well as in countries like Malaysia, Hong Kong, and perhaps even China, I think we also have the big event of Chinese New Year. So that's another celebration, huge. In fact, that's really huge.
Martin, when you talk about
Yeah,
celebrations and all that, isn't that supposed to make us happy? So why do they lead us to end of the year blues and make us feel down? Okay, wait, from my perspective as an introvert, super introvert, I understand it. I hate to attend parties. Right. So I might get blue
yeah.
out. But what about you? Why does all this big like Christmas, Chinese New Year, ushering the New Year, how does that lead you or other people like that you have known to experience this thing called end of year blues?
Well, end of year blues is very real. It happens with everyone, even with me sometimes. I remember I will share my experience lah. I mean, basically, when I was much younger, you when you see or hear, people organizing all these wonderful events, party events, or talking about it, like how are you going to spend your Christmas? How are you going to spend your December holidays? Are you going anywhere for at the end of the year? Or, and so on and so forth, lah, huh? Shopping, and you look at Orchard Road, you have all the light up, you know and so there's this air of celebration. I won't use the word joy lah, actually, but air of celebrations lah. It's commercial, you can say that it's very commercial, right? That's when retailers grab your potential buyers, customers, shoppers. Of course, also not forgetting year-end bonuses, right? That's when people say, okay, I got a little extra, I can spend on this and that, etc. So what about those who then, what about those who don't have? One is people who are at this point in time who are struggling actually to maybe make ends meet. That's one. This is a very real thing. Secondly, of course, is jobs, careers. Um, People who are lonely. Yeah, you can say that. So when I was younger, much younger, frankly, when you hear all these things, it's something that you don't like, you don't want to hear. And then when you know that everyone else is out there, probably it's a perception, huh? Out there celebrating, having fun, especially on New Year's Eve. And you feel so lonely because you're not with anyone else. So that feeling really creeps up on you. So to a certain extent, that's how I felt. And well, it's not normal, but it happens to everyone. Sometimes you have thoughts of wanting to harm yourself. Maybe you don't want to usher in the new year, nothing to look forward to, this sort of thing. Yeah, like it's another dreadful year, is another year of anxiety, another year of depressive gray clouds or depressive mode. Yeah. So the thing is that then so it's like, what's there to look forward to? You know?
I
Yeah.
think that I sort of get that. I get that because
Mm.
especially when there are any festivals or any events where I'm expected to be happy, like my birthday.
Oh,
That's like
when
a
is your
major
birthday
trigger
actually?
date, which also actually quite near the end of the year. And then like
Okay.
Christmas and New Year countdown, or even National Day where people gather together and try to have like fireworks and have fun. Those tend to be my downest days where I feel quite down. I don't understand why. I feel like when there's a pressure for me to be happy, then I'm like faced with this time where I'm not as happy as I ought to be. Gosh, there's something wrong with my life. So that becomes like out in the forefront. It's not something that I cannot hide anymore. And I feel really down. So I suppose I get what you mean by end of the year blues. Just now you're talking a bit about the self-harm and the part. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Well, yeah. So that's when I guess also there were times when I thought maybe I get when I was much younger, maybe since I'm feeling so down, so lousy, also feelings of anger, enviousness. So you tend to want to do things like, for example, maybe, you know, what if I'm not around anymore? For example, what if I'm not around anymore? How would people respond? How would people react? That kind of thing. Maybe get yourself intoxicated with alcohol, for example. In other countries, I guess you have the access to drugs, for example. There's, yeah. So these are the thoughts that you have with self-harm. And this feeling that you are just all alone here in your own home or somewhere in Singapore and yeah, you just don't want to be part of all this or this all these celebrations, happy new year, that kind of thing, it's just all make believe lah, you don't want to be how shall I put it, it's all fake and so superficial. Yeah. So we ask ourselves of the actual where do we find then ourselves? Especially if you're 18, 19, 20, or even if you're 50, like now I'm 53. So yeah, so you all know my age. So, it's like how shall I put it? You go through a period of sort of a questioning mind, yeah, and you want to your way forward, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
end of the year is also a time that we pause and do a stock take of what happened in the past year. And more often than not, especially if we are deeply involved in social media, where we'll try to stack our lives against the lives of our friends who are posting their best moments on the
Yeah,
social
yeah,
media, you start
definitely.
to feel really inadequate. Like, gosh, one whole year has passed and I didn't progress. Look at so and so who's got a promotion. Look at so and so who just popped another baby, or look at so and so who's like got a great job or got another PhD. Then you
Yeah,
sort of feel quite small and inadequate. I don't know. At least that's how I feel. That's why I quit social media.
yeah,
I just
actually,
I can't take the heat, so I got out of the kitchen.
yeah, that's right. I mean, nowadays, see, many people also when I used to work with youths and students as well and all that, even for myself, sometimes we fall into this trap, right? Because you see, when it comes to such social media videos and so on and so forth, people tend to post the best pictures and the best videos of themselves, like traveling, visiting this coffee shop or restaurant, family celebrations or with their loved ones or their girlfriend, boyfriend, or partners, right? They don't show sad things, what? Very seldom especially so I see this in Facebook lah. Not so much of TikTok actually. I'm not promoting TikTok lah, but I see actually TikTok lah. I find, and just to sidetrack a bit, I find that TikTok people tend to be a little bit more real, and they are not shy of actually showing and talking about things that has affected them emotionally and psychologically, which I think is good in a sense lah. So more open about it. But
Uh,
for others like Facebook, maybe even Instagram, sometimes I find that people tend to be a little bit less forward. Everything is just a happy picture lah, I'm
yeah.
walking in this park, welcome, join me, that kind of thing. So see the problem. Yeah, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, I was trying to say that Really, I feel that technology has such great power, and the way that the platform is created actually promotes a certain form of content that's being shared. So
Mm.
for people like who love Instagram, might find that a lot of, at least what I noticed, they like to have a very specially curated uh selection of photos or shots that's
Yeah.
just so beautiful, and Instagram actually creates a platform, the technology gives you the technology to want to gear your postings like that, so that, well, when you look at all that pictures, it's a beautiful curated gallery of happiest moments of your life. Because I think you're right, TikTok tends to encourage more vulnerability, more honesty and genuineness. Like sometimes my clients send me videos from TikTok, people talking
Mm.
about their mental health, their experience with so and so public
Yep.
hospital and this or that, but I don't really get that on Instagram. Instagram is the place where people put their best foot forward, the super
Mm.
glamorous kind of
Yeah,
thing.
lah.
Yeah. Mm.
True, true, true. So coming back to our topic, right? End of the year blues, right? I mean, I don't, do you experience that, Denise? Maybe you want to share a little bit. Yeah.
I experience all around the year blues.
Oh
Okay, but end of the year
no.
is more hyper exaggerated
Okay,
because
okay.
I told you I'm very introverted, and then when I feel pressurized to go for parties where there are a lot of strangers that I don't know,
Mm.
that brings about a lot of anxiety, and at the
Mm,
same time
mm, yeah.
also because I'm like crossing over the mid-30s mark, or have just crossed, I'm 36, just to
Oh,
share my
wow.
age as well. So every single year, at the end of the year, they're just growing older and older, and so it's kind of bad, like it's bad. And in past was worse because I was especially in my 20s, I was like this socially awkward person that can never be with another person. So I was like this single lady who's never dated all the way up to age 25. So every time end of the year, gosh, another year has passed, I'm like going to be left on the shelf. That the anxiety hits me. That
Uh,
was really bad when I was younger.
mm, mm.
What about yourself, end of the year, what are the kind of things that goes on with you?
Well, I guess like for example, I'll ask myself, okay, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Like I didn't finish the book I'm supposed to finish. I was supposed to go for this course or this training and get myself certified in this or skill upgraded in this. I didn't finish. So you feel lousy. You say, yeah, I didn't accomplish a lot of things, you know, and yeah, so sometimes you feel really lousy. I mean, like, okay, another year, lor. Especially when you have kids, for young parents, I'm sure you know lah, how, it's another year for the child to go to school. So, like, for example, I remember that time when my son was in P5 or P4 actually. No, sorry. I remember, in fact, I can go as far as to say that when he was in P2. Yeah. So from P1, P2, as you know, in Singapore, there are no exams, right? Only common tests lah. So the pressure on the parents, especially on the child, not so great. But there's a huge gap from P2 to P3. I don't want to sidetrack again, but what I'm trying to say, so the anxiety is there. Like, oh, next year my son is in P3. Okay, okay. That kind of thing. Then, of course, P5, then P6. Wow, next year P6, PSLE. That big thing, in Singapore, it's a high stakes exam, right? So
Mhm.
the pressure is there, the worry is there. And then for yourself as an individual, next year, maybe, for example, these are real common issues. I may get retrenched, or I may have a new boss. I don't know if I can, how can I manage this new boss? What is he or she going to be like? Blah, 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 and so on. So work is one, or maybe a takeover from a company like now, you see, Elon Musk, right, took over Twitter, which I felt was, well, that's business lah, I guess. He took over Twitter, and I think he sacked quite a number of people, right? Just like that. I mean, it's the end of the year. So can you imagine those people and their families, right? And then of course, even talk about social media, right? Facebook, metaverse has to retrench 11,000 people, right? Correct. So imagine those families, right? Who you know who are going to go through what's going to happen next year for
Mm.
them, right?
So there are a lot of uncertainty.
A lot of uncertainties. So in this world today, right, especially now, end of the year blues, you look back, yes, we went through COVID, there's a war going on in Europe. Then don't forget, in Asia, we have always forgotten the situation in Myanmar. right now, Myanmar. I mean, so so how do we cope? So one of my things I I I told myself lah. There's certain things, of course, we can't control, right? I can't control what Putin is going to think. I can't control what maybe for example, what the military junta in Myanmar is going to do. There's no way we can control that. But what can I control as a person, as a human being, right? So, for example, if I know I'm going to be retrenched, maybe, or if I'm going to lose my job, or I have new management, what can I do then to help myself not to be, for example, totally dependent on my job for income? Maybe I can, like, for example, say, okay, next year I'm going to go for maybe courses to upgrade myself, simple courses, not too difficult. Yeah, that's one lah. So I know I have some skills. I can do a small little hustle at the side, maybe a side business, maybe start something with a friend, with my spouse, or someone. So some side income coming in, whatever it is lah. Uh, so that I know I don't have to be so totally 100% dependent on my career, on my job. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the way the world is today lah. And other anxieties, well, I guess I have to learn how to take it in my own stride lah. So at the end of the day, I told myself lah, at one stage, I said, okay, next year at this time, I want to uh, be able to at least say certain things, like, for example, if I'm feeling lousy this year, why, what happened? Uh, I want to be able to say it wasn't so bad. It was not a very nice year last year, but at the same time, this year in December, this is what I want to be able to say. Like, it wasn't so bad. I accomplished some things I didn't accomplish. Why? What happened? Okay. Yeah. So I want to introduce this thing called, I mean, this is something which I felt. When I was leaving my 12-year job, very comfortable job in NUS, uh, I found this. My rainy day letter. Can you see?
Okay, higher up. Sorry, this thing, right? This beautiful background of yours is also obscuring. So,
Oh,
the letter. So you
okay.
just read out. What is it?
Okay, so it's called A Letter to Myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wait, let me see. Cannot see. Yeah. Okay, wait, maybe I changed my setting lah. Sorry.
So as you're changing your setting, I just wanna tell you about to validate the thing you say about focusing on what's within your control versus what's not within your control. That is actually right out of the textbook of choice theory, reality therapy, which is one of my favorite modalities.
Okay,
Something that
right,
actually I do a lot in the room as well to ask the client to focus the energies on what they can control. Oh, now I get to look at your beautiful study room. That's how your office looks like.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about.
A
A letter
letter
to
to
myself.
myself.
I call it my
Okay.
rainy day letter. It's a simple, cute technique lah, which we can use for ourselves. So what I did was I found this rainy day letter. As you can see, it's in a nice envelope, but you don't have to use such an envelope. So you write a letter to yourself on what you hope that you can accomplish, or what you want to accomplish for next year, 2023 lah. So you write a letter to myself. So I say, Dear Martin, this is your rainy day letter or advice. So the thing is, you imagine yourself, let's say now I'm 50, right? So, or 53, sorry. 2 more years to CPF. Anyway, um, so now I'm 53. So I imagine myself, let's say maybe 5 years down the road. What would a 58-year-old Martin tell a 53-year-old Martin? So this is how I go about writing lah. So for example, Dear Martin, this is your rainy day letter advice. When you feel everything seems upside down, take this letter out and use it to help you cope, and more importantly, move on. So 58-year-old Martin tells a 53-year-old Martin some things that you must do. So one of the things I wrote is a list of nurturing activities to do for myself lah, huh? Okay, so since I'm a Christian, or if you're of any other faith, pray and give praise to God through, for me lah, through hymns, through prayer and so on. Then I told myself I'll exercise more regularly. Like for example, pick up walking very seriously. Shop for myself and others. Maybe watch 2 or 3 favorite movies in the cinema, not on Netflix or YouTube, in the cinema itself. Go and explore museums and interesting sites in Singapore, or anywhere else lah. Okay, then very important. Who are the people whom you can call to sort of like uh give you what do you call this, give you that space and the time to talk. So one is of course my spouse, my wife Joyce, my close friends in school whom I've known for many years, okay, and my brother lah, both my brothers lah. Okay, so I write down who they are, huh? Then who am I? My strengths, so I told myself, okay, what are my positive characters traits lah? So I say, okay, to some extent, I'm quite joyful. I would say, yes, I'm kind, I'm loving, I'm pretty adventurous. Yeah, I guess I'm always willing to listen. And to some extent, I have perseverance. Yeah, so these are the few things that I write about myself. And then, of course, things that I want to accomplish, I need to go into more training. So certain courses I listed. I told myself last year that I want to really go all out to understand social media, because I was very much lacking in it. Upgrade my IT skills, Excel especially. Uh, and focus more on my self-care as well. So at the end of the day, my theme was I want to be more of I want to thrive more rather than survive. I don't want to survive. We don't need to survive. So sometimes I also tell my clients, really, seriously, or even my son, life doesn't have to be so hard, right? I mean, so that's a rainy day letter. So when you feel lousy about things, you take it out and say, okay, uh, you know, this is a nice letter to yourself, and it provided you put it back in the envelope. It's only for you. You don't have to seal it, yeah. And then here it is, yeah, that kind of thing.
You
Oh
know,
yeah,
Martin, thank you
I
so
don't know.
much. Thanks for sharing with us your
Yeah.
intimate rainy day letter that actually is such a special gift for yourself. Because after you shared this, I think I'm gonna write one to myself, a rainy
Oh,
day
okay,
letter.
wow, that's cool.
So when I feel like I'm really, really down and out and I can't think of any more strengths of myself, and I also cannot think of any good coping behaviors that I can do to soothe myself, I think a rainy day letter would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
to
I
tap
think,
into that.
yeah. So I think, like, for example, on New Year's Eve, if you're not doing anything, and you feel kind of down, you feel kind of lousy, okay, for our audience, whoever that will be, just remember, I mean, you can call a friend, a very close friend of yours, right? If you have no one to call, or if you don't want to call anyone, doesn't matter. But you can do this. Take out a rainy day letter and write something to yourself. So first thing is, you imagine yourself to be someone who's older talking to you now that you're younger. So what is the advice that wise person would say? Because you would definitely grow wiser, right? As you grow older, you grow wiser. So even if you're 15 years old or 14 years old, you imagine yourself to be, let's say, maybe I always give 5 years lah. So imagine yourself to be 20 years old. What would a 20-year-old, let's say, for example, Ricky, say to a 15-year-old Ricky, to himself, or even a 6-year-old kid who's going on to P1 like your son? What would, let's say, give 5 years, so 11 years old. He's now in, so 11-year-old, what's your son's name?
Benedict.
Benedict. What would an 11-year-old Benedict who's now in P5 would tell another Benedict who's 6 years old going into P1? What's the advice he would give? So he can write it down. Um, Writing helps a lot because writing helps to transfer your anxieties, your fears onto paper. And whatever problems that you have, you put it on paper. So it's like another voice talking to you, when you write. I know some
No,
people blog. I don't
Martin,
know. What are your thoughts? Yeah.
my thoughts, as you're sharing all that, right, it brings to mind something that I learned this year in 2022 from this modality called psychodrama. And
Mm,
there is this particular activity that is the interview with the wisdom figure. It can be
yes.
anyone, like famous ones, popular ones are like Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, saints, or maybe Dumbledore or Gandalf the Grey. All these are famous wisdom figures. So we put them in a separate
Spider-Man.
chat.
What
Spider-Man, yeah.
Spider-Man, if you see Spider-Man crawl through your window. Okay, so when he meets you as a young kid, as a young teenager, and you're so depressed and down, maybe you were being bullied in school, cyberbullying, etc., you're pressured.
Yes, right. So
Yeah,
that is
so
the
Spider-Man
wisdom
said to
figure.
you.
So I'll
Mm,
put the wisdom figure on a chair and interview, and it is really pretty amazing the amount of wisdom that is actually really nested within that person that cannot come out. So
yes.
by using this psychodrama technique, which is the wisdom figure interview, uh, it's almost like you
Oh, I
writing
like
out
the term, wisdom figure.
yeah, it's the interview with the
Okay,
wisdom figure.
wow, that's
So
nice.
it can be anyone, but of course it depends on who you choose. If you choose maybe Mother Mary,
Mm,
then the
okay.
advice will be skewed towards a more spiritual,
Mm,
self-sacrificial
mm,
theme.
yep.
But it's still pretty amazing because in the end it is a form of experiential therapy. It comes from the person, the wise old woman or the wise old man within the person, which everyone has, but
Mm,
it breaks free even from the boundary of the self. That means it's not an older version of yourself. It is someone with infinite wisdom. So
mm,
then
absolutely. Mm.
their creativity energy has no bounds really. They can really just express all the great words of wisdom. Like there was this woman who just couldn't forgive her husband.
Oh dear. Okay.
If I put Mother Mary on a chair and I interview Mother Mary, I say, "Hey, Mother Mary, do you want? Let's say her name is Sally. Do you want Sally to forgive her husband, or do you want her to carry this anger to the grave?" Then Mother
Mm,
Mary said, "No, of course I want her to forgive, because I
mm,
love her. I also love her husband. I know he did wrong, but I don't want their story to end like that. I hope that they can end and reconcile in their old age." My
yeah.
gosh, I mean, how many years of therapy must you go to get to that point, right? But if you do a
Yeah, yeah.
psychodrama, you interview the Mother Mary, the wisdom figure, you can just shortcut all the way there. Then
Mm,
after that, it's not me, the 36-year-old counselor who's giving the advice anymore. It is the wisdom figure that is within that person.
that person. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so I think within a person like lies this great wealth of wisdom, and I'm always quite at awe of it. I'm always really amazed by it. Okay, any thoughts at this point or feelings?
Yeah, since you mentioned about Mary, Mother Mary, Jesus, and also for those who are not Christians or Roman Catholic Christians, lah, basically, right? Of course, you have spirituality, lah. I just want to talk whether you whether you're a Muslim, Buddhist, Taoist, Hindu, or even if you're an atheist, right? You must believe in something, So spirituality, especially for those who are really going to the point where they feel there is no return, they feel completely hopeless, unloved, basically the it's so important for us to draw closer spiritually to your faith, to your beliefs, and these are and religious leaders, right? Or rather founders, lah. Like in Buddhism, you have Gautama Buddha, right? They have gone through so much. You know what I mean? If you talk about Mary, right? Have you ever, this just came to my mind. Have you ever thought how she felt, when she knew, or rather, I take it that probably she knew, lah, huh? Her son was going to be crucified. And there's nothing that she can do, as a mother, except cry and pray, and accept the will of God, right? Think
Mm.
about it. I mean, you're a mom,
Yeah,
I'm.
I at this point I really want
Yes.
to share this story with you. I
Oh,
really
sure, sure.
had no idea how that felt until I went through my multiple miscarriages.
Oh dear, I'm so
And
sorry to
the
hear that.
2 week wait, which is the wait that you wait to make sure that your fetus is truly dead before you
Mm,
take whatever medicine or you go
mm,
to clean your womb. That 2 week
mm,
wait, I really could feel like my child is on the cross and he's dying and there's nothing I can do about it. So that was the time where I sort of get a glimpse of what Mother Mary was going through. So at this point, I'm going to push off a mini propaganda. Wait, there's
mm.
this book by Pope Benedict called
Oh,
the Way of the Cross. I got this recently at a retreat. So over here they talk about the Stations of the Cross
mm,
and the prayers lah. So at the very
mm,
end, there will be small little parts, like Bruce, uh, small little parts talking about Mother Mary's own experience at the foot of the cross. So
mm,
it is pretty good, and Pope Benedict really was really quite explicit in this book. He minced no words. He was actually criticizing in part like things that were going on at that period of time, like IVF, things like using of stem cells from embryos to do research. Part of that also got into this Station of the Cross book. So okay, propaganda. This is a good
wow.
book that you can consider getting.
Mm.
Okay, sorry. Back
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
the back to
No,
you.
no, no. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I guess maybe I just want to ask you. I mean, like you went through a miscarriage, right? I'm very sorry to hear that. If you're comfortable about it, like, how did you manage to like, what? It's not easy, right? Losing your child. Really, really not easy. And so, how did you, eventually manage this?
I just focus on the people who are still alive, like
Mm,
my son Benedict, my husband Roy, and then at that
mm,
time also I was training to be a counselor on my future clients. If
mm,
I cannot get myself out of this rut, then what about them?
mm,
And
mm,
also I had to really draw very close to the providence of God and
mm,
trust that my child, wherever he is, right? Some of the priests they tell me, oh, he's really a little angel in heaven, and he's so happy out there. I think that offered me some comfort as well. So
definitely, yeah.
yeah, it really is the time that I really drew really close to the church, to the sacraments, went to church often, went to adoration at the adoration room in front of Blessed
Yes,
Sacrament. All
yes.
that was very healing because it was a very deep grief, at the same time a bit of a PTSD. Because when the miscarriage
Yeah.
finally happened, there was like a lot of blood everywhere and
Oh,
everything. So
yo.
I was having a bit of PTSD at that time also.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Oh dear. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you managed it somehow, and that you are okay. I mean, yeah.
No, I think it was great because after that experience, I so-called gained the empathy and compassion, especially for mothers who are trying to get pregnant,
Yes, yes.
struggling and then having multiple miscarriages, which is actually one cohort that I'm working with. I feel
Ah,
that
okay.
the way God so-called paved the way for me to be in this position to be a counselor to them. Okay, on hindsight, that's on hindsight, right? But looking back when I'm in the midst of the suffering, I was like, how am I ever going to make meaning of it? What purpose is there in this? You really cannot see like, ooh, losing a child. How horrific is that? And what will ever make up for that? Probably
Mm,
nothing. But this is so called maybe the post-traumatic growth. So
yes.
there's this possible gift that comes at the end of it. And God has a good plan. Lah. Just have to trust in his providence and his plan.
Mm, mm. Okay, yeah, true, true, absolutely. The faith, lah, huh? That's why I say. I mean, like I mentioned in the last video, right? Spirituality is so important now. And for us Asians, we cannot forget that because we are brought up this way. Whatever your faith is, lah, whether you're like I said, lah, whatever your faith is. So yeah, those are my thoughts. And so end of the year blues again, coming back to this, the experiences you've had, I've had, as a young teenager, or even now at my age, and even you for yourself, right? I guess the one very important thing is, of course, your closeness to your spiritual faith or your beliefs. Okay, if you don't believe in God, if you're far away from faith or and so on, then at least write down what are your values and what are your beliefs, lah. You know, you must have some beliefs and some values to for you to hold on to.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's like it's the pillar of your bridge, one of the pillars of your bridge that holds you up.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Or
The
maybe
second thing,
also,
yeah, is
also
go ahead.
almost like an anchor. I feel almost
Yes,
like an
yes.
anchor to your values, your spirituality,
Mm,
something to hold on to, for you to cling on to, so you're
mm,
not like moving with the waves and you're tossed and turned all around. There's a homing spot, an anchor, a place to go back to. Yeah, sorry,
mm.
you were saying?
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with you. Anchor, for you to hold on to be centered, right?
Mm,
You know, sometimes we are so confused with so many things that people say. You know, whether you're onto social media, whether it's in your school or even in your playground as a kid, or even in at your workplace and so on, right? The things that people say, people do sometimes confuse your feelings as well. But at the end of the day, you need, like what you mentioned, when you went through that difficult time, you basically uh, went to a place that's quiet where you can worship God. And what is more important also is for you to have that peace and quietness,
mm,
to know
mm,
that you are there and to be calm and so on. And sometimes, actually, yeah, if we don't have anywhere to go, end of the year, right? No parties to go, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just need that quiet time at home, in
mm.
your own room, listening to some soft music, having maybe a glass of wine. If not, then at least not necessarily lah. Can be also coffee. Can also be a juice,
Mm.
whatever. And just pick up a book and read. And then just maybe write your rainy day letter. I don't know.
I also got another suggestion, Martin.
Yeah,
Because I'm not really into the big rah-rah party, fireworks
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that.
That's
It
right.
like
Yeah.
freaks me out. So I think one good thing you can do would be to attend mass, to go to a church, right? It's a more quiet, solemn space. And after that, find a quiet corner in church just to pass to the next year
Mm,
peaceful and and trusting the providence of God. Like God still loves you even though you're 1 year older. You don't have to
mm.
compare yourself to anyone. You don't have to pressure yourself to be happy or super enthusiastic just because it's the last day of the year. Just
Yeah, yeah.
be quiet and be by yourself. I think that is a great way to just cross over the threshold without having to succumb to the end of the year blues.
True, true. I agree.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know about others, most, what do you call this, churches, for example, they have watch night service, and that'd be great to come together. Sometimes, not always, if my family and I will come together and we'll just talk lah. Although my wife say, yeah, I don't like all this mushy thing lah. To come and talk together about, how we can be grateful for this and that. What are we going to do next year? She doesn't like that. So, yeah, but so sometimes we do it though. Yeah.
Mm.
So it keeps us centered.
Oh,
Uh,
Martin,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you this question.
Mm,
Because I also noticed end of the year, this is true, it's a statistically true thing, that there's a higher risk of suicides and also higher risk of
very much so.
accidental suicide. That means people drink a lot and then they drive super fast and they kill themselves, but it's not in an obvious way. It is like so-called their subconscious cannot take it anymore and try to drive them to suicide. So they might have this plan already. Now that it's in November, they're slowly hatching. Like end of the year, I'm just going for a party. I'm going to drink a lot. Then I'm going to drive my car. I'm going to crash into the nearest tree, something like that. So to a person like that, what do you want to tell them? What is one word of advice you want to give them?
Well, I empathize with them lah, in a way. We don't really know what they're going through or what they have gone through, and the fear and the anger that they are brooding, that they are breeding within themselves. And so the new year is not something to welcome. So I would say, of course, besides seeking help and all that stuff, which most people won't, but at least hold on first.
So how to hold on, how to grip onto something like your practice, get a grip. if they are really in that very bad space, what should they grip on to?
My question would be, or I would ask myself if I'm going through always, does life really have to be so hard? No matter what, whether you've gone through bankruptcy, maybe you're going to jail, or you've gone through jail, you can't find a job, or you lost a loved one, it's very painful. I don't know how to describe it. Whether it's you lost, whether it's you lost, maybe for example, both parents, or or not just someone in death, but maybe lost your property, maybe lost your relationship, maybe you realize that your marriage partner is having an affair, yeah, and so on and so forth, lah. So many things to talk about. Give yourself that one day, lah, before you do anything crazy, before you do anything to harm yourself. Sorry, I won't say crazy, lah. Before you do, just give yourself that one day. Tell yourself, okay, let's not think about the year. Let's go through this night. Tomorrow morning or tomorrow late morning, if I can't wake up so early, when I wake up, it's a new year, right? It's a new day. Give myself that one day. So it goes on for another day and another day. And then eventually, again, the question comes back, how do I see myself perhaps on the same day, maybe on the 30th of December or 31st of December this year? Will I still have the same regrets? Or would I want to get a grip of this situation right now, whatever it is, as best as I can? And like what you said, like in choice theory, right? There's certain things we cannot control. So the question is, what can I control? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
So, if couples are going through separation, divorce is very painful. If your spouse really doesn't want to come back and be again together as a family, then fine. Okay, so do you want to fight on for the relationship? If so, how? If it didn't work, if what you were doing wasn't working, then maybe perhaps do something different, right? And if you go to Albert Ellis from Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, right? He said a divorced man or couple doesn't have to be depressed, right? Who says just because you get a divorce that you have to be depressed? So do you really need to be so depressed?
He actually had multiple divorces, Albert Ellis.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that he suffered from very severe social anxiety himself, and yet he could. So, yeah, I'm just using relationships as an example. So do something that is different that may work for you. Solution focus, basically, what are others doing that you are not doing that makes their life a little less hard? For example, what can be different this year? For example, you ask yourself, what can be different this year? Maybe I exercise a little bit more to up my mood. Why not? Right? Maybe I catch up with an old friend of mine, give him a call or her, just chat, have a coffee, just to, Happy New Year, and let's just see. Yeah, and so on and so forth. So actually little things are not big things, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's what I would say.
This is what I really like about SFBT, solution focused brief therapy. I mean, it has a very behavioral element to it.
Yes,
Doing
definitely.
very small little things different. So these days when like a relationship is not going well, something's not going well, I would say, what can I do different to make it a little bit better? So that is actually very self-empowering, focus on the internal locus of control.
Yeah.
But I think for me, if I pose that question to myself, what do I tell someone who's really at the very end of the rope and planning to just end it all? I might do the SFBT route, or I might go another route, which is to, especially if the person is spiritual, already have a faith in Christ, although at this moment a bit estranged, I might recommend her to just surrender to the will of God. Stop fighting that suffering. The suffering is permitted by God to be in your life for a purpose. You cannot see the purpose right now, but doesn't mean that it is not growing into something beautiful. A jewel is being formed, the jewel of virtue, of perseverance, of hope is being formed right now. Just surrender and trust God's providence that next year will be a better year. You may not be able to imagine it, or you're so depressed you cannot imagine it. How about just surrender, don't do anything rash, and just trust God. Trust God, trust God. It's so weird because there's so many things I want to say, but it's hard to put it in words beyond this point. But this is what I see. If someone's so close to the very end of the rope, really, can you just trust God for this one more day, like you said, one day at a time? Trust God for this one more day. Somehow we're walking towards the light, but we never know when we're going to reach it. If hang in one more day, we're walking towards the light already. We're almost the end of the tunnel. Just hang in there one more day. Okay, any thoughts or feelings at this point?
Wow, that was very powerful. Just that one more day, hanging on for one more day. In fact, I will go even sometimes you can say, hang on for one more hour. Can you give me one more hour? Can you give me 5 more minutes? Or in fact, even one more minute before you do anything. A few things maybe, when someone is in that situation, yeah, right. I mean, give yourself that one more minute and see what difference can it make. Just that one more minute before you hang yourself, before you take the plunge, before you decide to drown yourself, or take that overdose of pills. Or in other countries, of course, you have access to weapons like guns before you pull the trigger on yourself. Give yourself that one more minute and ask yourself, do you really want to do this? Is this really so bad that I need to end my life? Is there something that I can hang on to? Yeah.
The hang on to part, right? It brings to mind logotherapy. Viktor Frankl
Yes,
says
yes.
that what we need is meaning in life, and it can be
Mm,
very
mm,
unique meaning. Like
definitely.
only you, like Denise, only I can be a great mother to Benedict. I'm the
Yeah.
only one, only human being on earth that's the biological mother. So hang on to my relationship to my son. So that is like the mindset that he held on to as he was going through the concentration camp. The cat kept him alive. And also for him, he had this manuscript that he wanted to write. So he was hanging on to that. Only I, Viktor Frankl, can write this manuscript. So I'm going to get out of this place alive and I'll write it. So think about that. I think that is one thing I guess you can grip onto, either a relationship or a purpose in life, or even a vocation that God has put in your heart. Grip onto that strongly at the very, when you're at the utmost suffering, you're suffering so much, you just want to end it all, to end the pain. I think gripping onto that meaning, that purpose helps you stay alive.
Yeah, I want to just touch on what you said. You want to end the pain, not your life. You know what I mean? We want to end the pain and not our life. So you to end the pain, there are resources out there that can help you or help yourself actually. You know what I mean? Like I said, hang on first and ask yourself what is the pain, write something down. For example, how you feel, at that moment. Yeah. And do you really want to end your life? Seriously. I don't think so. I don't believe absolutely that anyone wants to end their life, but they want to end the pain, the fear, the anxiety, the sense of loss, the feeling of being unloved, the anger that's within them. That's what they want to end. So there are other ways to minimize it, to end it. You know what I mean? And not
Yes, I know, I know.
to ending your life.
So ending the pain, there's so many ways. The
Yep.
fastest way is to go to the doctor and get a medicine. That is to end the pain for a while. At least it will maybe make you very drowsy, you'll sleep a whole day away. Or some, if they are in this state that they know they have so much suicidal ideation and impulse, But they can also check themselves in. Just go into any hospital A&E, don't have the IMH, any hospital A&E, and tell them that I have very strong suicidal thoughts right now. Then they can ward you for a while until it passes. Some tricks and tools that people may not know about, but I tell my clients that all the time. Like if you really feel this strong impulse and I'm out of reach because I'm maybe in session or something, just go to any hospital A&E and just sit there in the presence of healthcare professionals to watch you. If you cannot even trust yourself anymore, you feel that anytime, so that's actually a great way to cope.
True. Yeah, those are very practical things that we can do. Yeah, go to seek help. Yeah, as in professional medical help. Like I think yourself, you have lead hops, right? Counseling. For myself, is get a grip counseling. Then you have your crisis counselors in Singapore, like SOS, and a few others. Yeah, but I think at that split few seconds when someone is when that person is decided lah, I'm going to do it. This is it. I've written my letter. I've written my note. I've written my last rites or wishes. There's still that hope. That moment when you lean against the parapet wall and you want to throw yourself. That few seconds actually also has that moment where you can pull yourself back. In fact, studies have shown that people who actually jump, most people, in fact, all people who have jumped, it has been shown through their body composition as the way they fall, that actually they regretted. They probably would have, there's a very strong chance from their body's position when they jump that they probably regretted. But they can't do anything
they actually struggled mid-air to try to save themselves, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay. And this applies also for those people who, okay, I guess for those people who have hung themselves, it's difficult for you to release yourself after that. So there is evidence to show that people who have actually gone into suicide, there are regrets.
Yeah. I read this anecdote also. I'm not like you. I'm not that experienced with.
No, I'm still learning.
but I read this story about this woman. She threw herself off the bridge, but she didn't die at once. But the ambulance came, and she was in the ambulance, and then she was begging them to save her. But they couldn't save her already. She was really at the verge of death. So I think that is what happens also in the spur of the moment, in the moment of impulsivity, that I think I 100% want to kill myself. But when you hit with that great pain and you maybe not dead at once, that is when the regrets come in, like, gosh, actually I don't want this, I want to leave. So that's something to think about. Well, that was a dark topic. That was quite dark. We went to dark spaces today.
It's real. Okay, we'll stop here, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, anything you want to say? Anything we want to say to bring this to a close?
Yeah, love yourself. Yeah, as God loves you, if you believe in God. If not, then there are people who love you. You do not know who these people are. Give that someone out there to a chance to meet you and to love you, especially at this end of the year. You can write a journal, you can write a rainy day letter to ask yourself and next year you open it up again and read it and see what perhaps maybe the little things that you have accomplished, or maybe even big things. We don't know, right? Yeah, that's what I want to say. But hang on. Like I said, you don't want to end your life, you just want to end the pain. There are resources out here in Singapore or in the world, especially with technology now. Yeah. You can Zoom, you can Skype anyone around the world, any counselor, any psychologist, any mental health professional to help you with your thoughts, your lingering thoughts, your depressive modes, your grieving. Yeah, it takes time. Yeah, and life doesn't have to be so hard. Believe me, life doesn't have to be so hard after all. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I think I will close with this statement, which is if life is hard and there's suffering, you have to, it'd be helpful, not you have to, it'd be helpful to believe that there is some meaning in that suffering, that some good will come out of it. It's not pointless suffering. That will help you to to endure that suffering and to grow into a better person. And usually when you're in the midst of the storm, you cannot see it, one. You can't see it. There's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of just insufferable, intolerable pain that you want to end at once. So when you are at that stage, it's okay to pray and to reach out, not only to a spiritual source, also to people like maybe Martin and myself and any other healthcare professional, a psychologist or a counselor, or even to check yourself into an A&E if necessary, until the impulses pass. The impulse pass, and that'd be a great way to survive this horrible thing that's coming up, which is the end of year blues.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Denise, just want to mention, and our viewers, yeah, if you need to contact us, by all means, please do so. Yeah, and hope you guys can leave your comments, your thoughts on this. Yeah. We would like to hear from you, right?
I'll leave both of our contacts, both Martin's and mine, because we have our own private practice, both of us. I'll leave both our contacts at the description below. You just reach out to us if you need someone to talk to, or if you, as you're watching this video, you got very triggered by the very dark topics that we went into, you also can just message us, arrange a Zoom, or just leave it at the comment below. We'll reply. How's that?
Yes, that would be great. Also, I just want to mention that Denise, maybe you can also join me. I'm organizing a Zoom session on the 23rd of November. Yeah, and to discuss about further on what we can do to help ourselves, end of the year blues, and we touch a little bit about this time what we can do to help ourselves, so that it no longer has to be a blues. Does it always have to be blues? Right? It can be, end of the year sunshine. Right? I mean, right?
Okay. End of the year sunshine.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love that.
I think this time round for us in Singapore is end of the year blues. Next year the GST is going up. That's something we don't want to look forward to.
Okay, 23rd of November, I got that noted down.
Okay, I will, yeah. All right.
So that's all for the video today, everyone. Thank you so much. And if you liked it, kindly press like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.